Hello, welcome back. Trust you're able to learn one or two things in my previous lesson. I really appreciate you all. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also click on the notification bell. When I drop a new video, you get notified. Also, give us a thumb up when you like any of our videos. And if you want us to work on any of the videos you want, kindly drop that in the comment section. We'll work on that for you. Now, in this lesson, we'll be discussing.
Hello, welcome to this amazing topic. What is Power Query? Power Query is a transformation or a data transformation and a data preparation engine. It's a wonderful feature of Excel that helps you to work with bulk data and also helps you to transform data in split of second. One of the other feature of Power Query is that it has a versatile number of usage. That is, you can actually get your data set from an external source. In my own opinion, this feature is one of the reason why Excel can never be easily replaceable. Now you get to understand better with the aid of example. Now if you look at the data set I have here, I have title, last name, first name, January, February, and if you look at I have something here, replacing text function button click. Now it's one of my lesson, I think lesson 4, where I discuss 25 basic functions in Excel. We discuss this stream, concatenate, upper, proper and lower. But in this Power Query now, we are not applying a formula here, but we'll just make use of a function button click. Just wait and see. Now you get to understand with the aid of example. Now before you continue, make sure your data is in tabular form. That means it's in a table format. Now there are two ways to do that. You can just use your Control T and click on anywhere, just press your Control T, or come to insert, click on table, and it will ask by default. My table has header because these are header. We have title here. In a situation whereby there is no heading here, now it will just bring it out. Now I can just bring my cursor here. Since my data set has a table now, I can just click on table design and rename this table. Instead of naming it table 10, I can just say query 1 and click on enter. I've renamed my table now. Now since I have a table, I will just come to data. Now I'll just click on this from table or range. Click on it now. The Power Query editor pops up. Now let's watch and see. It's kind of loading. Now can you see now the data has actually popped up now. Now at this point you can actually do a complex things. Now let's just work based on those functions we have here. Now let me drag. I'm trying to drag the Power Query. Can you see now? We have the trim, we have the concatenate, we have the upper and lower, and also proper. Now we'll be taking those things one after the other. Now let's start with the trim now. Now what does the trim mean? The trim means removing unwanted spacing. Now if you look at this column now, we have some unwanted spacing here. We have some space before Smith, Matthew and so on, Aliu. Now we are not going to be using any formula, it's just a click off. Now you can see now, I'll bring my cursor here. I only click on this first name now. Now click on transform. Once you click on transform, you will see format. Click on it. You can see it now. It has actually bring out the trim. Now we are not using any function here or any formula. We are actually just a click on this button now, can you see now it has actually trim out the unnecessary spacing we have here. Now same thing applicable to this too. Can you see we have some unnecessary spacing here too. Let's click on the format, come to trim, click on it. It has actually removed the unnecessary spacing. Now when we are done with this now, I'll actually show you how to return it back to Excel. This is just a Power Query editor. Now I've actually explained how to trim now. Now another thing we have here now, can you see we have lowercase now. If I click on it now, it's actually changed all these letters to small letters. Can you see? You can see now it has actually changed it to small letter. If I want it on uppercase now, it has actually changed it to all through to capital letter. Now it depends on anyone you want it. Now capitalize each word. For instance, now we have more than one word here. Now you can actually capitalize each word, but in this case we just have one word. Now you can return it back. You can do anything of your choice depending on what you want. Now let's continue. Now the next thing I will be teaching is how to use the concatenate. Now for instance, now look at this title, last name and first name. Now we have the Mr., Mrs., doctors, all the titles here. Now we have the last name here and we have the first name. Now I want to concatenate these three columns together. What the concatenate actually does is that it's used to merge text together in each from different column or cells in Excel. Now I discussed the concatenate I think in my lesson 4, where I discussed about 25 basic formulas in Excel. Now you can watch that video and try some example on the concatenate. Now let's continue now to concatenate. Now I'll bring my cursor here, hold my control, I'll click and I'll also click. Now once I'm done with that, now I'll bring my cursor here, I'll click on merge columns. Now it has actually popped up. You can see choose how to merge the selected columns. Now what do we mean by this separator now? This separator now is actually, we have different separators here now. We have colon, we have comma, equal sign, semicolon, space and tab. Now since we are just using a title and the last name, you can't be using a colon or a comma. The best thing we'll be using here is the space. Since we have some titles here, and click on OK. You can see it now. It has actually merged the three columns we have earlier together. You can see it now. This is the last action now, merge column. What I actually did now, Mr. Samuel Smith, Mrs. Anna Smith, sorry, Mr. Matthew, James, and so on. Now the next thing I want to discuss is this. Look at this now. We've actually merged all these cells together, all these three columns together, Mr. Samuel Smith and all that. Now I want to rename it now. I'll just come here, click on full name. Now click on enter. You can see now I've actually changed it from merge to full name. Now let's come back to this transform. Now click on this format. You can see now for the capitalize each word now. If I click on it now, can you see now it has actually capitalized now each word. You can see it now. Now if you look at it now, we've actually used different functions without even applying any formula. Now we've actually used the trim, the concatenate, the proper, the lower, and so on. Now like I said the Power Query editor actually allows you to transform your data now. Now for instance, now let me say I'm done now. I'll just come to home. Can you see now when I click on home, you will see close and load, close and load. Now I'll just click on click on this, and I'll click on close and load to a new query. Now you can see, just watch and see. This is the previous data we're having. Now I will just click on new sheet alone and click on OK. Just hold on for it. A new sheet will pop up now. Can you see? You can see it's loading over here. Now these are our what? Our new data now. Can you see now? We've actually transformed this data from, let's see what we actually have before, what we actually work on. Okay, this was the table. Okay, this was it. Look at it. We have title here, we have last name, we have some unnecessary spacing here, we have some capital letter mixed up with some small letters and so on. Now let's look at it now. Can you see it now? It has actually transformed what we have here to this now. I can just bring this sheet forward or turn this sheet backward. Can you see it now? That's the work of what? Power Query. I trust you understand the concept of what? Trim, proper, concatenate, lower, using what? The Power Query now. Now, if you want your data set, if you want your new Power Query editor after you've what actually query a particular data set now, if you want it to be on the what existing sheet now, I will actually mention that in the next example. Now, still under this topic, the next example we'll be treating is how to use Power Query to work with dates. Now, this is the condition we have. Let me explain. Now, we want to use Power Query. Supposing we are working on a project that has to do with dates. Now, we have date of the month and we want to exclude some certain dates. How do we do that with Power Query? Trying to do this thing one at a time can be boring. Like I said, doing it one after the other can be boring. Now, the assignment here is to exclude some dates. Like in Nigeria, for instance, Sunday 1st of October 2023 is an Independence Day. Also, 5th of October is World Teachers Day all over the world, and 18th of October is No Beard Day, and also 20th of October is what? International Chef Day. We will be excluding these holidays from this date of the month, and also excluding the weekends. Now, how do we do that? Now, how do we do this using Power Query? Now, the first thing to do is come to data. Now, you can see, come to data, click on data. Now, just come to table, click on table. You will see the Power Query editor pops up now. Now, let's wait for it, let it load. Now, it has actually loaded. Now, don't press anything, come to close and load, click on it. Now you see close and load and close and load too. We want to create a connection now. You can see now, select how you want to view this data in your workbook. Table, pivot table, report. We want to create a connection, only create a connection. Now click on OK. Can you see now, the total data has actually been created. Now let's do it for what? For the holiday also. Now let's come to the Power Query editor again. Now it has actually loaded. Now click on it, click on close and load. Now let's create connection again. Now click on OK. Now we've actually created the connection now. You can just right click this. You can see I right click and delete this. Now you can see now I just created connection for this table and for this table. Now the next thing is you want to get a data from external source. Now come to data. Like I said, Power Query actually give us room to what? To get data from external source. Now when you come to this get data now, you will see combine queries. Now you will see merge. Click on this merge. Now we want to merge it now. Click here. You can see now we have holiday and total date. Now the main data set we are working on is this total dates. We actually want to extract these holidays from this total date now. This will come first. Now let's click on it. Now I'll bring my cursor here and click on it. You can see the way I'm doing it. Now come back here. Now the next one is what? Is the holiday. You click on the holiday. Now once you click on the holiday, you click on this holiday here. Now join kind now. Now if I bring my cursor here now let's pick the what? Left anti-row first now. You can see it now. Now the selection exclude 4 out of what? 31 rows from the table. Reason why is that we have 31 as what? October has 31 days, and we actually want what? To extract 4 holidays. If you look at it now, 4 holidays from this what? From this 31 now. So that's why we are having what? That's why it's selected what? 4 of those what? Of those holidays from what? From the total 31 days we have in October. We actually excluded only the holidays now. We are yet to what? Exclude the weekends. Now you click on OK now. Let's wait for it. The Power Query is loading. Can you see now? It has actually merged the what? The total days and holidays together. Now we don't actually need these holidays any longer. We can just right click it. Right click. Once you right click now, remove this what? Remove. Let's just remove it now. We've actually removed the column now. Now this is what we actually need. Now if you look at the numbers of days we have now, you can see from 1 to what? To 27. We've actually excluded the what? That's actually excluded the 4 holidays we actually have in what? In October out of the 31 days we have. Now the next thing to do is how do we extract the what? The holiday the weekends from these days we have now. Now the next thing to do is add another column. Click on add another column here. Now the next thing to do is come to date. Once you click on the date, you can see it now. We have dates. Now come to this day. We have the day of the week, day of the year, start of day, end of day. Now let's pick. Now let's click on it. Now let's have name of day. Now the reason is that just to have names of all the days now. Now let's extract what and the weekends from it now. Now how do I go about removing these weekends now? I'll just filter it out. Come here. Once I come here now, you can see it now. We have names of all the days now. Since majority of most cases Saturdays and Sundays are weekends all over the world in most cases, except for some countries. I'll just filter this out. I'll uncheck it and I'll uncheck this and I'll now click on OK. Now you can see now the numbers of days we have here has actually reduced now. We don't have weekends here anymore. Now since I don't need the names of all these days now, I can just click here and right click and what? And remove. Now you can see it now. It has actually what? Reduce the numbers of days we actually have now. Now we're actually done. I'll just click on home now. Once I click on home, I'll click on what? Close and hold. Close and load. Now if I click on this close and load now, it will actually take me to a new sheet. Now let me click on close and load too. Now if I click on OK now, I want to show you something. Can you see now? What I wanted to do is that I actually want this to be on existing sheet, but anyway, it's still fine. We can still do it this way. We can just close this. Now, don't mind the date format. It doesn't mean. Now, you can see now. It has actually filtered out. It has actually extracted the holidays and also the weekends. That's how to use the Power Query on dates. Now The next example we'll be discussing is an Excel tab dealing with finance. Before we continue, let me just give us a brief background gist. In pivot table, we actually learned that we can use pivot table to analyze or summarize data, which is actually true. But one of the limitations of pivot table is that it can't analyze or summarize data that is not well structured. By well structured, I mean data that is not clean. In a simple term, what I mean is when a data has some empty cells or a blank cells, we can't use pivot table to analyze it. So in this case, what do? This is a scenario of such. You can see we have some empty cells here now. So in such scenario, we can use our Power Query to clean. So this is what we want to do. We want to use our Power Query to clean this data and to be in a well structured manner. Then in our subsequent, we can use pivot table to summarize it. Now before we proceed, let me just explain the data we have here now. Now if you look at it, this is the financial transactions that happens within 2 months. We have the month of July and August. Now this is their revenue and this is their total revenue, their expenses, that means the cost they incurred for those production periods now, and their total expenses they incurred. Now let's see, this is for the items now, electronic, fashion and office supplies. Now for electronics now, we have for 3,128. Now this and this for the sales one and the sales two happens in the month of July and it results in this. Now same thing for fashion, this plus this and is what for this, for the whole of July, this plus this it results to this. Now this is for the whole of for the sum of the sales one, sum of sales two and the total sum of the total sales, the grand total of the sales. Same thing applicable to to the month of August. This for sales one, this plus this result to this plus this result to this, also this plus this result to this, and this plus this result to this. Now these are the costs they incurred. Now cost of sales, now this is this plus this which results to this plus this result to this, 18,500 plus 10,000 result to this, and this is total for for the sales one, that's 89,000, and for sales two. Now so to get our net income, so we have a net loss here, net income or net loss. Now that's the revenue, the total revenue minus total expenses, that's 81,829.35 minus this 89,000, and we have this. So in the case you come across something like this in this bracket, so it's a negative. Now and for this 83,790 minus this, and we have this. So that's how we arrive at all these these figures. Now let's proceed to the main show. Now the first thing we have to do is we highlight the whole thing we have here now. Now we start here including this empty cells, shift control arrow right, arrow down. Now we come to data. So once we highlight everything, so we come to data, click on data. Now from table, I'm using Office 2021. From table, click on from table. Now this is our table, click on OK. Now the Power Query editor actually pops up now. Can you see it now? Let us wait for it. It's actually loading. It will pop up in some seconds time now. Now this is our Power Query. Now you can see it now. This is the data we have. Now you can see it. This was the previous one, and this is using the Power Query now. So these empty cells now we have here now, we are going to fill them. Now when we want to fill, we don't fill from from right to left or from left to right. We can only fill from up and down. What I mean by left to right now, like we have some empty cells here now, we can't fill like this horizontal now, we can't fill this way. So since we can fill down and up, we will actually fill down and up. Now to fill this, now we'll come to transform, click on transform, you will see fill. Now let's fill down now. Click on down. You can see now those places we have what? Empty cells now under revenue and expenses now. It has actually filled them as what? As revenue. Since they are under revenue and they are under total expenses and expenses. So it has actually filled them with what? What we have on top of it now. Now for instance now I want to what? Return it back to the actual stage now we actually have now. I can't use my control Z now. You can see now we have a query setting here now. This query setting now, these are the steps I've actually take now. Now if I what? Uncheck this now, if I cancel this, you can see now it has actually returned it to what? To the previous stage. So you can't use what? Control Z to or what? To undo the last action when you are using Power Query. Now this is what I actually did now. You can see now where we have some empty cells here under revenue, under total expense, total revenue, expenses, and also now I want to what? Fill. I'll come to transform like I said earlier. Click on fill. Now let me fill down. You can see all the places we actually have what? Total revenue. It has sorry, all the places we have what? Empty cells now under revenue, expenses, and all that. Now it has been filled up. Now in pivot table you can easily get anything that has to do with submission like this total revenue, total expenses. So in that case we don't actually need this total revenue, total expenses, and net income, since I can use my pivot table to actually get all those things. So in that case I can just clean it up by removing them. Now to do that now I'll just click on this arrow here. I'll uncheck this what? Net income, total expenses, total revenue, and I'll click on OK. Can you see now? I've actually what? Cleaned up the what? All the total expenses, total revenue, and what? Net income. So the next thing is, how will I fill up this horizontal part now, since I can't fill from what? Left to right or right to left. Now to clean it now, I will transpose. Transpose means to what? To flip this. To flip this data now. I'll just come to transform back again, and I'll click on what? Transpose. You can see now it has actually been flipped now. Now you can see this first column is empty. It's actually from the what? From our data we have now. Let me reduce this a bit. Now if you look at our data here now, the first row is actually empty. Now let me drag this Power Query a bit. You can see now the first row is actually empty. We don't have anything here. When we flip it now, you can see now that's what result to this now. Now if you look at this where we have expenses also, and same thing applicable to revenue. So look at that too here. So you can see that's why the column 1 is empty. That's why we have this here. Now let me drag a bit forward. Where we have expenses, that's why we also have what? All these empty cells now. Since they are empty, I won't be needing them. I won't use them. Can just what? Remove them. Now I'll just right click. Once I right click, I'll just remove. I don't need it. Now this also I'll right click and I'll remove. This also I'll right click and I'll right click and I'll also what? Remove. Now the next thing is I will just fill down those columns now. Let me fill down. Let me highlight. I will come here. I'll come to fill again. Click on fill. Now I'll fill down. Once I fill down now, the next thing I will now do. Now since I'll fill down now, I'll just highlight this column. I hold my control. Click on this also. I want to what? Merge this column together. Since this is about month and this is about sales, I'll just merge these two columns together. To merge column now, I'll click on transform again, come to merge. Now let's wait, it will pop up. Now it has pop up. Now this separator, Now click on it. What did I want to use to merge now? I want to use colon to merge. Click on colon. Now click on OK. Now I've actually merged these two columns together now. I will now return to where I actually came from. That's what transpose. I will transpose this back again. Click on transpose. Now once I'm done with that, now the next thing is, instead of using this column 1, column 2, column 3 and all that as my Ezra, I will just use this July and all that, use July sales 1 and all that as my as my header. Now to do that, now I will just come here, click on here, click on here. You will see use first row as as header. I will use my use first row as header. Click on it. Can you see now? I've actually used my I've used this as my header. I've used it to replace where I have all this column 1, column 2 and so on and so forth. Now the next thing I will just do is I will right click now. Once I right click, I will unpivot other column. Now unpivoting other column means that once I unpivot other columns now, it brings it in this neat format now compared to what we actually have before. Now we actually I can just rename this column one after the other now. Since this is more of revenue and expenses now, I can just name this as revenues slash expenses. Click on enter. Now come here also, I can just say this is products. Click on enter. Now for this now, I actually merge these two columns together. That's where we have the month and the sales earlier. Now I will merge later on. Now before I will merge later on, this is the values, the numerical values of this product and of this revenue and expenses based on this product. Now before I will merge this column now, I will just I will uncheck the sum of sales. Since I can get my sum of sales with the pivot table, I'll just come here, click on it, I'll filter it out here. Now I will uncheck this sum of sales, and I'll click on OK. Can you see now? We no longer have anything that pertains to sum of sales here, since I can get that using the pivot table. Now I will now unmerge this column now. Now, the reason why it's bringing out this funnel here is that because I've actually filtered out this column. Now, to unmerge this column now, I'll be using split column. Now, to split now, I will come here, click on it. Now, I will use by delimiter. I'll be splitting by split column by delimiter. Now, I actually used column earlier. Now, I'll be using column back again, and I'll just click on OK. Now, supposing there's something I want to let me uncheck the last step. Now there's nothing like Control Z. I said it earlier, there's nothing like Control Z in Power Query. These are the this query setting now. Those steps I've actually taken now. These are the steps I've actually taken now. If you want to uncheck any step now, you have actually taken. Now you can just come to your query setting, to your query setting and just to cancel it and go back to the previous stage. Now you can just split in a situation whereby you have some cells now that was being merged probably with colon or with comma or forward slash or anything. Now you can actually unmerge it using split column. Now let me split it now again. Come by delimiter. Now I'll use colon, click on OK. Now you can actually see it now. So we have actually unmerged using split column now. Now this is more of of months. Now I'll just name this as as months. Click on OK. You can see it has been renamed. Now I'll rename this as as sales. Click on OK. Now this is more of numerical value. So I'll just leave the what numerical value, and I'll just leave the what numerical values now and leave it as value. And the next thing I'll be doing is what, I'll come to home, click on home. Now I'll just come to what, close and load. Now close and load and close and load too. I'll use what, close and load too. I want it in a what, in a new Power Query, sorry, in a new sheet. So in a new sheet, and click on what, click on OK. Now this is now our what, our new data. You can see it now, revenue slash expenses. These are the products we have. Now these are the months, those when the month we have those products, and the sales that occurs on those products and their values. Now look at our previous data. Sorry, I think it's somewhere around here. Okay, this is it. Now you can see our previous data now compared to what we now have now in the what, in a very neat format. Now using the what, using the Power Query. Now the next thing is that I'll be creating a what, a pivot table using this what, this data. Now I'll come to insert. Now click on pivot table. Now once I click on it, okay, let's take it to a new sheet. Now click on OK. Now this is our pivot table. Now let me close this. Now the pivot table field list is not popping up. You can just come here, come to field list. Now click on it. So it will actually show you your what, it will actually show you your what, so it will actually show you your pivot table field list. Now let's just bring our revenue slash expenses on our, sorry, revenue slash expenses on our row. Now we have products. Let's bring products on the row also. Now we have sales and months. Let's bring the months to our column. Now let's also bring the sales here. Also let's bring the value here. Now you can see our what, these are the activities of the what, of the sales that happens in the month of July. Can you see it for the sales 1, sales 2, and their what, their revenue, their expenses, and their what, grand total. Now for July, also for August. Now let's come to design here. Click on design. Now once you click on design, come to report layout. Now let's show it in tabular form. Now you can see it now. You have it in a very better format now. Now I can actually just close this. We don't need this any longer. Close. Now you can see it now. This is more preferable compared to what we actually have here. Let me show you. Compared to what we actually have here. Can you see it now? Look at this. What we have actually before. This was what we actually have before compared to what we have now. Can you see it now? Now let's just get our total and our net income for the month of July and August. Let's just get it here. Now let's just see net income. Now in brackets July, let me just leave it in capital letter July, close the bracket, click on enter. Let me increase this and let me just copy and bring it here. Control V. Now let me change this to August. Click on enter. Now let me just come here, equals to, now our net income now for the month of July, that will be this minus, okay, better still, let me just bring it here. Bring it here, equals to, now this is our revenue, this is our total revenue. Now you can see total revenue minus, now these are total expenses minus this. Now click on enter. Can you see that? Now for the month of August, that was equals to what? Total revenue, which is this, minus, now total expenses, that's this. Click on enter. Now this will just be for the grand total. Now let me just put it in cap lock, grand total. Now click on enter. Now let me increase the cell length. Let's come here, equals to, now that's this minus this. Now click on enter. These are the three figures, highlight them. Now can just control B. Now can increase the cell length, same thing, leave it to this. Now let's just increase the cell length a bit and beautify it. Now let me increase the what cell length here, double click. Now control B, come here, you can just put lemon and what, probably so. Now I think our work is fine and beautiful now. So that's that on what, Power Query on what, on the termed finance. I believe you really enjoyed this lesson. Now if you look at this now, it's quite neat and better than what we actually have earlier now compared to this. So that's one of the benefit of what, of the Power Query.
Trust you're able to learn one or two things in this lesson. I really appreciate you all. See you in the next lesson. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.